Hey, it's Dustin from Faxon Firearms. Welcome to a very special stay-at-home quarantine edition of the blog and podcast. You know, so many of us are working from home, so to keep in that spirit, we decided to do a special quarantine edition that is a staff pick, top 5 best first-person shooter games really of all time. I kind of curated the last 20-ish years or so, but what I did was I curated some of the top selling first-person shooter games, sent a poll to some of my coworkers at Faxon, and also had them give their personal top 5, and this is how it turned out. All right, let's see how the top 5 panned out. Now, we did have some honorable mentions that didn't make the cut, including Golgo 13 for NES. That came out to 2.75 out of 5 stars. Number 8, Doom from 2016 at 3.2 stars. Number 7, Wolfenstein 3D, the 1992 version at 3.4 stars. And number 6, Call of Duty Ghosts, which rated out at 3.63 stars. Number 5, Rainbow Six Siege, announced at the Electronic Entertainment Expo in 2014. It received 4 nominations from Game Critics Awards, including Best of Show. The game received an overall positive reception from critics, with praise mostly directed to the game's tense multiplayer and focus on tactics. However, the game was criticized for its progression system and its lack of content. Initial sales were weak, but the game's player base increased significantly as Ubisoft adopted a games-as-a-service model for the game and subsequently released several packages of free downloadable content. Several years after the game's release, some critics regarded Siege as one of the best multiplayer games in the modern market due to the improvements brought by the post-launch updates. The company partnered with ESL to make Siege an esports game. In February 2019, the game surpassed 45 million registered players across all platforms. Coming in at number 4 is Halo Reach. Released on September 14th, 2010. This was originally for Xbox 360, and our staff members gave it 4.33 stars. The game grossed over 200 million on its launch day, setting a new record for the franchise. Reach sold well in most territories, moving more than 3 million units its first month in North America. Critical reception was positive. Reviewers from publications such as GamePro, IGN, and Official Xbox Magazine called it the best Halo title yet. Critics generally praised the game's graphics and sound, but the plot and characters were less positively received. Is it fair that Xbox can review their own game favorably? I don't know. Seems odd. All right, number 3. Now, I will be honest, this is probably the only game that I have some real connection to and real feedback for. One of my favorite games of all time, and that is Goldeneye for Nintendo 64, released in 1997. Our team gave it 4.43 stars. Here's what Wikipedia says about it. Retrospectively, GoldenEye 007 is considered an important game in the history of first-person shooters for demonstrating the viability of game consoles as platforms for the genre, and for signaling a transition from the then-standard Doom-like approach to a more realistic style. It pioneered features such as atmospheric single-player missions, stealth elements, and a console multiplayer deathmatch mode. The game is frequently cited as one of the greatest video games of all time, something that I second. A spiritual successor, Perfect Dark, was released in 2000, while a reimagination of the game, also titled GoldenEye 007, was released in 2010. Coming in at number 2 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that was released in 2019. This is the game we're actually going to be playing tomorrow, March 27th, for our Twitch live stream, Q&A, and giveaway event. So if you're watching this or listening to this on Friday, March 27th, 2020, make sure at 1 p.m. Eastern, you hop over to twitch.tv/FaxonFirearms, and you'll be playing with some of our staff members while we get to hang out together. Infinity Ward began working on the game soon after the release of their 2016 title, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. They introduced an entirely new engine for the game, which allows for new performance enhancements such as more detailed environments and ray tracing capabilities. For the campaign, they took influence from real-life conflicts such as the Syrian Civil War and terrorist incidents that have occurred in London. For the multiplayer, they scrapped the franchise's traditional season pass and removed loot boxes, enabling them to distribute free post-launch content to the player base in the form of seasons. The game received a mixed pre-release reception for its mature subject matter, but was released to positive reviews with praise for its gameplay, story, multiplayer, and graphics. However, some criticized the handling of the campaign subject matter as well as balancing issues in the multiplayer. In addition, there was controversy regarding the single-player campaign's depiction of the Russian military. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, for our staff members, rated at 4.63 stars. And number 1, coming in at 4.67 stars from our staff, Halo Combat Evolved 2001. This is a first-person shooter video game developed by Bungie and published by Microsoft Game Studios. It was released as a launch title for Microsoft Xbox's video game console on November 15th, 2001. Microsoft released versions of the game for Windows and Mac OS X in 2003. The game was later released as a downloadable Xbox original for the Xbox 360. Halo is set in the 26th century, with the player assuming the role of the Master Chief, a cybernetically enhanced super soldier. The Chief is accompanied by Cortana. Sounds familiar. And artificial intelligence. Players battle various aliens as they attempt to uncover the secrets of the Halo, a ring-shaped artificial world. More than 5 million copies had been sold worldwide by November 2005. A high-definition remake, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, was released for Xbox 360 on the 10th anniversary of the original game's launch. Anniversary was re-released for Xbox One as part of Halo the Master Chief Collection in 2014 and was released on Windows PCs in March 2020. Hey, that's this month. And now we have one honorable mention that I don't know exactly how to squeeze in, but we're going to do it because it was brought up by my good friend Jay Wilson, who is the director of product management at Faxon. He goes, does Duck Hunt count? Because I really like that game. So let's talk about Duck Hunt for a second. Released in 1984 as a light gun shooter video game developed and published by Nintendo for the NES video game console. The game was first released in Japan in April 1984 and was released as a launch game for the NES in North America in October 1985, with it also releasing in Europe 2 years later. In Duck Hunt, players use the NES Zapper, pew, 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 in combination with the CRT television to shoot ducks that appear on the screen. The ducks appear 1 or 2 at a time, and the player is given 3 shots to shoot them down. Or that stupid dog. The game initially received few reviews, but was given mild critical praise. Prior to the NES version, Nintendo also made a Duck Hunt game based on laser clay shooting system, released in 1976. Beginning with the nationwide rollout of the NES in 1986, Duck Hunt was one of several titles Nintendo included as a pack-in game with some of its releases. The initial deluxe set included Duck Hunt and Gyromite. The later action set was packaged with Duck Hunt and Super Mario Bros. That's the one I had, which was the pack-in for an upgraded basic set. Unlike those releases, Nintendo opted to place both games on one cartridge as opposed to having separate individual cartridges. There you go, Jay. Duck Hunt. First-person shooter. Before we sign off today, I do want to remind you that our new MuzzLok device, the Flash Hider, is out for 9mm and 5.56. We talked about this a couple weeks back with Bob Faxon. He talked about the inspiration for it, how MuzzLok came to be, but this is going to be something that you definitely want to pick up, especially if you're looking to have that easy to assemble and disassemble muzzle device for your threaded barrel. Again, we have them available for 5.56 and 9mm now. You can check those out at faxonfirearms.com. And again, if you're watching this or listening to this on Friday, March 27th before 1 p.m., hop on Twitch. Visit twitch.tv/FaxonFirearms and join us for our quarantine game party. We're going to be playing Call of Duty. We're going to have live Q&A and some giveaways throughout the stream. We hope to see you there.